Hello and welcome back. My name is Ted and this is Ted K Studio. Today we're going to be doing an awesome video. I'm super excited. We're going to be taking a brand and kind of doing the full process of a redesign, of a rebrand. I'm going to show you how I do it, my process, how I start from point A, get to point B, how we start from concepting, research, discovery, and we convert that into the actual concept process. And then finally, how we deliver that to the client and present it. So super excited about this. This is going to be a series. There's going to be multiple videos, so stay tuned and let's just jump right into it. So the brand that we're going to be rebranding today is called Hopper. Now, before we start, I'm just going to let you know that this is not a paid advertisement. They don't know I'm doing this. This is just a fun exploration that I'm doing to teach you guys. So what does Hopper do? Hopper allows you to book flights, hotels, cars. It's just one of those booking services, and their current brand is very playful, and I feel like it has like a very startup vibe, and I feel like we can make it a lot bolder and a lot more professional by doing a few things. So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's jump right into it. Before we start trying to create solutions, what we need to understand is the actual problem that we're solving for. And as I mentioned, for the Hopper app and the Hopper brand in general, it's very playful and childish, and I feel like we can make it a little bit bolder and more professional. So that's kind of the overall goal for this rebrand or refresh. Just make it a little bit more bold, a little bit more professional, and less like a startup. So the first thing I want to look at is the logo mark and the type. And for the mark, you can see the lines, the vector lines aren't very clean. It looks like somebody just quickly traced a bunny. And the Hopper type here can be a little bit more custom. And right now it just looks like a font, especially since these letter P's are basically identical, so that oftentimes makes it look like a font. So I think we can make that a little bit more custom, a little bit more fresh. Same thing with the mark there. And then looking at the website, the mobile app, and the app tile, we can just see some of that soft, friendly, cartoony brand. And I just want to make it a little bit more clean and bold, so that'll be our goal there. Finally, we have the Twitter, which is a combination of their illustrations, some of their marketing stuff that you can see in the images, and then their app icon. So we'll also redesign this to show you what it looks like in the new brand style. And lastly, I just want to show you these little touch points of the brand. So we have this marketing image with the Hopper logo in the top left, and we have their kind of font and their style. We have the icons there, what the Hopper logo looks like next to Capital One, for example. Their color palette here, or the primary color palette, it's pretty pastel-y. We can make it a little bit brighter and bolder, and then just some of their illustration styles here. So the problem that we've prescribed here is it's too startup-y, too fun, too friendly, and we want to make it a little bit more bold. So let's keep that in mind as we start creating a stylescape. That'll be the first thing that I always do, is research and stylescape. So one, we want to see what else is out there in terms of bunny logos, in terms of hopping logos, just to do our research, make sure that we're creating something unique. And step two, before we jump in and do a ton of work for the client, what we want to do is just do the research so that we don't have to actually create these things from scratch. So a stylescape is essentially a combination of a ton of different images, fonts, colors, text, etc., just so the client can visualize where you want to take the brand. So let's just start creating that stylescape. So you always want to do just a quick Google search and just see things that are related to the logo you're creating, just in case you create something that looks exactly like what's already out there, and it just avoids recreating the same thing. So I see a lot of these bunnies facing forward with the two ears. However, we're not going to take the branding in that direction, so I'm not too worried. But it's always good just to search the name of and the logo just to see what's already out there before you start. So when creating stylescapes, it's essentially a mood board that's a combination of different elements, and this checklist on the left is just a reminder of the things that we want to show. So I want to show website examples, I want to show color palette examples, I want to show an example of illustrations, imagery usage, the actual logos or what I'm considering for the logo direction. I want to show an example of an app because this is an app, and show examples of different fonts or type that we can use, and an example of an icon set or a few icons just so they can visualize that. So these are all of the kind of essential building blocks of a brand, and we just want to show quick examples of that in our stylescape. Now what I want to do is just go to different inspirational websites. In this case, I'm going to use different Behance examples. You can go to Dribbble, you can go to Savvy, you can go to a ton of other different websites that have design inspiration, and just kind of look through and see what would work for the direction that you want to take it. I like this Albi branding here. I like the green color, I like the geometric font. So I screenshotted this Albi logo here, and I'm just going to scale it down a little bit to reposition it. And now we're just going to start putting together this mood board. Now what I want to do is just go to different inspirational websites. In this case, I'm going to use different Behance examples. You can go to Dribbble, you can go to Savvy, you can go to a ton of other different websites that have design inspiration, and just kind of look through and see what would work for the direction that you want to take it. I like this Albi branding here. I like the green color, I like the geometric font. So I screenshotted this Albi logo here, and I'm just going to scale it down a little bit to reposition it. And now we're just going to start putting together this mood. I like these bold icons. I think we can take inspiration from the boldness of the lines, but I think for us, we're gonna make a rounded style for Hopper, so less geometric and bulky. I kind of like this illustration style from Blink, how they have these like soft outlines for the illustration, so I think I'm gonna add a screenshot of this as well for the illustration portion. I really like the marketing, how they have it in this box with the kind of the border. I think that makes it look very professional. So I'm gonna take a screenshot. And now I'm just organizing these things and adding them to the stylescape here. For this example, I like how they use this pattern. It has this movement and motion, and I think we need to include some kind of movement or motion in our brand, just because it is named Hopper, and for the icon it has like this very active bunny hopping. I really like these colors from Linktree. I think they did a good color selection option, how they're so weird but they work together so well, so I'm just going to screenshot this for inspiration. I like this brand. It's playful, but it's a little bit more professional with using the geometry for their illustration. So I'm just going to add this as an illustration example, as well as a app example. I really think this type is awesome. It has that similar vibe to the Hopper font, but it's sharp, which I think I like that direction. So I'm just gonna screenshot this type, for example. I really like the way that they use the shapes here to mask from their logo, from their brand. I think that's a really cool idea, and maybe there's some way to utilize that in the brand that we're going to be doing. So I like that idea. I'll just add it, and plus the colors and the vibe kind of feels and matches the stylescape. And the last part of this, I just want to add a website example. So we have some icons here, we have a logo, we have some marketing examples, illustration examples, a little bit of a color palette. I'm actually going to add a color palette over here, and then I want to add a website as well to kind of finish it off. So at this stage, what I typically do is just look at all of the inspiration that I've gathered and start pulling and kind of tweaking and putting together a color palette based off of that. And this is just gonna be a work in progress color palette. I'm sure we're gonna change it as we go along, but I'm just gonna start picking the colors that stand out to me and the colors that I like. And now I'm gonna tweak them and make them work together as a palette. You can also get color palettes from different websites that have them pre-generated, like Coolors, which is a really nice one, so check that out. However, for this example, I'm just going to create it from scratch. So now that I have all these elements in place, you can kind of start seeing where the brand is going to go. And we're going to go with these kind of softer palette, which they currently use, but we're going to make it a little bit more bold. And now we have this first draft that we can share with the client and get their comments and feedback. Now, typically I'll create 3 of these, but for this example, I'm just gonna create this one where I wanna take the brand, and we can kind of reference this later on in the end product and see how close we stuck to the stylescape. So now what I would do is just present this to the client, explain to them each part of the stylescape, why I added each shot, what I can think we can use and incorporate into the branding from each of these shots, and just kind of talk through the overall process to give them a better idea of where I want to take this brand. Now that our stylescape is ready to go and present to the client, what I want to do is show you how I would pitch this to the client. So let's just do this mock presentation. So, hey client, this is the stylescape, and this is where I want to take one of the brand directions or brand concepts. For the overall color palette, we're going to keep it kind of pastel. I want to explore redoing the hopper type and use something like this for inspiration. We're going to have these wavy lines, but they're going to be sharp, and we're going to make them look and feel a little bit more custom. I like this Albi type. This is another direction that we can take the logo itself, just this very geometric with a geometric mark next to it. I like these icons. I think we can make them rounded, but I like the thickness and the simplicity of it. We can use these for different destination icons or showing different forms of travel. I like the way that they use this marketing here. I feel like we can take inspiration with these colors, these very clean shots. I like the way that they use emotion and lines and some kind of patterns. I feel like we can use that in our brand just to signify this hopping, this speed, this direction. I really like the way that they use elements from their brand to mask images. I think we can use something like that in our app just to bring a little bit more imagery to the app and the website as well, to make it a little bit more bold and professional. I like this example of a landing page. You can clearly and quickly find the location, check in, and select your guests. You can also select your destinations or what you want to do, so I think that's very neat. Also, the fact that it has an image, it gives it a little bit more of a professional look, so I'm gonna tease concepts of that in our brand. For the color palette, I'm revamping and revising the current color palette you have, but not going too far away, still maintaining and keeping most of the colors. I do want to make it a little bit brighter, a little bit more fun and energetic, so I made the colors a little bit lighter. However, this is just an early exploration, and the color palette will change as we start exploring the actual brand deeper. For the illustration style, I'm going between something a little bit more geometric, less organic, something like this, or an outline style, just because these outline styles tend to look more professional. And I like this use of color combination and these very clean outline icons, and that's how I would pitch it. That's the ending of phase 1. So we've done our research discovery, we've created a stylescape, and now we're ready to actually create some explorations, do some sketches, and do some vector versions. That's what we're gonna be doing this next video, so I'll see you there. Also, I created a design community called Studio, and it's a place for designers to hang out, get feedback, get inspiration, share things, and for me to leave personal feedback for you. So if you wanna follow this branding project and be a part of that in the community as well, just to get live feedback from the community members and interact, the link is down below. It's free to join. I'll see you there.